At 20 years old, we think we have our whole life ahead of us. At 40 years old, we are busy building, but after 60 years old, something changes profoundly. Time is no longer perceived in the same way. The body changes, priorities change, relationships change. And above all, we begin to see life with a clarity we have never had before. Today I'm going to talk to you about 10 difficult realities that many men discover after 60. Not to scare you, but because understanding these realities can help you live the coming years better. And if you are under 60, this video could literally change the way you age. The first reality is that after 60, we finally understand that time is limited. When we are young, we unconsciously believe there will always be another trip, another opportunity, another year. But after 60, each year starts to carry a different weight. Some people even start to wonder, will this be my last big trip? My last Christmas with the whole family? My last real adventure? And this thought can be overwhelming, but paradoxically, it also makes life more precious. Because we finally stop living on autopilot, we appreciate more the simple moments, the conversations, family meals, or the quiet mornings. When we realize that time is not infinite, each day takes on more value. Second reality, after 60, health becomes more important than money, because at that age, many men understand one essential thing. Without health, everything else loses its value. Medical appointments become more frequent. Blood tests become stressful. The slightest abnormal result can cause anxiety, and suddenly the body becomes a daily concern. Sleep also changes. Many men wake up earlier. Others have trouble falling back asleep. Then come joint pain, decreased energy, diminishing vision, changing hearing. And for the first time, we understand that the body is not invincible. But what is most frightening is not just aging. It is losing one's autonomy. Third reality, after 60, one becomes much more aware of their fragility. Before, we would climb a ladder without thinking. We drove in the rain. We took unnecessary risks. Today, we think differently because a simple fall can change an entire life. A fracture, an operation, a heart problem, and suddenly the freedom we considered normal can disappear. That's why many men become more cautious with age, not because they become weak, but because they finally understand the consequences. Fourth reality, memory is no longer as reliable. Entering the room and forgetting why, searching for a name that is nonetheless known, losing the thread of a conversation. These moments become more frequent. And even if these forgetfulnesses are often normal, they can be frightening. Because after 60, many men start to think about a disease that scares everyone. Dementia, especially when one has seen friends, neighbors, or loved ones gradually losing their memories. It is a very emotionally difficult reality, and every little forgetfulness can sometimes trigger a silent worry. Fifth reality, losses become more frequent. After 60, one starts to see go friends, neighbors, former colleagues, sometimes even brothers or sisters. And it profoundly changes the way one sees life, because one suddenly realizes,
we will not be here forever.
Many men then become more emotional, more sensitive to the time spent with their loved ones. And relationships take on enormous importance. Arguments seem pointless. Resentments appear absurd. Because at that age, we finally understand that what matters most is not possessions. It is the people we love. Sixth reality, with age, relationships become the true treasure after decades of chasing after work, money, responsibilities. Many men finally realize that happiness mainly comes from memories, conversations, simple moments. It is also the age when some start to reconnect with other brothers, friends, distant family members because they understand that time together is now limited. And this awareness changes everything. Seventh reality, many men begin to want to simplify their lives. At 30, we want more money, more possessions, more success. But after 60, many feel the opposite. They want less chaos, less stress, fewer useless objects. They begin to wonder what really matters, and often the answer is no longer material. Candida Vidya Adasat, Part 8. End of life questions become real, 1530 to 1700. Eighth reality, we start to seriously think about the end of life. Difficult subject, but inevitable. Many begin to prepare their will, their medical wishes, their important decisions, not because they are giving up, but because they want to protect their family, and this step takes courage, because it forces one to accept a truth that many avoid their whole life. We are all just passing through. Ninth reality, with age, one must be careful not to become bitter. Some men become impatient, critical, negative. Others constantly repeat, in my time. But the happiest men after 60 often have one quality in common. They remain open, curious, human. They understand that they don't always need to be right, and they choose peace more than unnecessary conflicts. Last reality, after 60, many men finally understand what really matters. Impressing others? More important. Accumulating? More important. Comparing themselves? More important. What matters now? Inner peace, health, love, memories, and gratitude. And paradoxically, it is sometimes at this age that we finally start to live more serenely. Because we stop chasing after useless things. Aging can be scary, but aging also brings a form of clarity that few young people understand. And if this video resonated with you, it's perhaps because deep down, we all know the time is precious. So enjoy more. Your health, your family, simple moments, and people you love. Tell me in the comments, which reality has impacted you the most? And if you are over 60, what advice would you give to younger generations? Subscribe for more videos on health, longevity, male vitality, and the art of aging well, because the goal is not just to live long, but to live well for as long as possible.